Admiral Kate Morrison stood at the main window of the Earth Defense Command Station, watching the blue marble of Earth spin slowly below. The space station orbited the moon, and from here she could see both worlds that humanity called home. But today she wasn't admiring the view. She was thinking about the message that had arrived 12 hours ago. The message came from aliens. Not just any aliens, but a group that called themselves the Zephyrian Confederation. They represented 12 different alien species, all working together, and they had given humanity an ultimatum. "Admiral," said Commander Alex Turner as he walked into the command center. His face looked worried. "The alien message is being broadcast on all frequencies now. They want everyone to hear it." Morrison nodded. She had expected this. The aliens wanted to scare humanity into giving up without a fight. On the main screen, the image of an alien appeared. It looked like a tall, thin creature with gray skin and large black eyes. When it spoke, its voice was cold and mechanical. "I am War Prime Kethvar of the Zephyrian Confederation," the alien said. "We speak to the species that calls itself human. You have expanded into space that belongs to us. You have built colonies on worlds that are ours by ancient right. This ends now." The alien's image grew larger on the screen. "We give you 72 hours to abandon all colonies beyond your home system. You will surrender your military forces. You will accept our authority. If you refuse, we will destroy every human settlement outside Earth. Your species will be confined to your birth world forever." Morrison had seen this message many times already, but it still made her angry. The aliens spoke like humans were, children who had broken some rule. They acted like they owned the entire galaxy. "How many ships do they have?" Morrison asked Turner. "Our scouts report 400 warships," Turner replied. "Each one is bigger than our largest battleship. Their technology is far ahead of ours. Their shields can stop our energy weapons completely. Their hull armor repairs itself when we hit it with missiles. And their computers can predict our battle moves with 94% accuracy." Morrison walked to the tactical display. Red dots showed the positions of alien ships at the edge of the solar system. Blue dots showed human ships scattered across space. The numbers were not good. Humanity had only 87 warships, and most of them were smaller than the alien vessels. "What about our colonies?" she asked. "Mars is preparing to evacuate civilians," Turner said. "The outer colonies are doing the same. But there are millions of people out there, Admiral. We can't move them all in 72 hours. On Mars, engineer Lisa Park was working around the clock to get people to safety. The red planet was home to 3 million humans, and the spaceports were packed with scared families trying to leave. But there weren't enough ships for everyone. How many more transports?" Lisa asked her assistant. 6 more ships coming in today." The assistant replied. "But at this rate, we can only move about half the population before the deadline." Lisa felt sick. She had helped build many of the colonies that the aliens wanted to destroy. These weren't just buildings and machines. They were homes where people lived and worked and raised their children. Her husband, Colonel Jake Martinez, was preparing the planet's defenses. He knew it was hopeless, but he wouldn't give up without a fight. His Marines were setting up weapons in the underground tunnels that connected Mars colony's different sections. "Sir," said one of his sergeants, "the alien ships are huge. Our weapons might not even scratch them." "Maybe not," Martinez replied, "but we're going to try anyway. These are our homes, our families. If the aliens want Mars, they'll have to take it from us." Back on the command station, Morrison was meeting with other military leaders. General Ben Murphy commanded the Space Marines. Admiral Claire Foster led the Deep Space Fleet. All of them looked worried. "The aliens are right about one thing," Foster said. "We can't win a straight fight. Their ships are too advanced. Their weapons are too powerful. So what do you suggest? Morrison asked. That we just give up? I'm not saying that, Foster replied, but we need to be realistic. If we fight them ship to ship, we'll lose everything. Morrison studied the tactical display again. The alien ships were arranged in perfect formation, like they were on parade. Everything about them seemed organized and predictable. They followed strict rules about how battles should be fought. What if we don't fight them the way they expect? Morrison said slowly. What do you mean? Murphy asked. Look at how they're positioned. Morrison pointed to the display. Perfect formation. Textbook battle tactics. They're expecting us to meet them in open space, ship against ship, like some kind of formal duel. Turner nodded. Their computers predict our moves based on standard military doctrine. They expect us to follow the same rules they do. But what if we don't? Morrison asked. What if we fight them in ways their computers can't predict? The room fell silent as the officers thought about this. It was a dangerous idea. Military tactics existed for good reasons. But desperate times called for desperate measures. Meanwhile, the aliens were confident about their coming victory. War Prime Kethfer stood on the bridge of his flagship, reviewing battle plans with his advisors. The ship was enormous, bigger than most human space stations. Its walls were covered with displays showing the positions of every ship in both fleets. The humans are moving their ships into defensive positions, reported one of his officers. They appear to be preparing for a conventional battle. Kethfer made a sound that might have been laughter. Of course they are. They know no other way to fight. Our battle computers show a 99.7% chance of complete victory within 6 hours of combat. What about their colonies? Asked another officer. After we destroy their fleet, we will eliminate their military installations, Kethfer said. The civilian populations will surrender when they see their protectors defeated. It will be efficient and quick. The War Prime believed this completely. The Zephyrian Confederation had conquered dozens of worlds using the same tactics. They were masters of space warfare, with technology that made them nearly invincible. No species had ever defeated them in battle, but they had never fought humans. Before, back on Earth, President Helen Brooks was preparing to address the world. She had spent hours talking with Admiral Morrison and the other military leaders. The plan they had developed was risky and unprecedented. Some people might call it crazy. Madam President, said her chief of staff, are you sure about this? We're talking about the survival of our species. I'm sure, Brooks replied. The aliens think they know how we'll fight. They think they can predict everything we'll do. They're wrong. She walked to the podium where cameras were waiting. In a few minutes, her words would be broadcast to every human settlement in space. What she said next would determine whether humanity survived or became extinct. My fellow humans, she began, we face the greatest challenge in our history. An alien confederation has given us an ultimatum. They want us to surrender our freedom, abandon our colonies, and accept their rule. She paused, looking directly into the camera. They believe they can defeat us because their technology is superior. They think they can predict our every move. They expect us to fight by their rules. Her voice grew stronger, but we are not going to fight by their rules. We are going to fight by our own. We are going to show them what happens when humans refuse to give up, when humans get creative, when humans fight for their survival. The speech was broadcast to every human world. On Mars, Colonel Martinez smiled as he heard it. On the command station, Admiral Morrison nodded with approval. Throughout human space, people began to understand that their leaders had a plan. It wasn't a conventional plan. It wasn't the kind of plan that military academies taught, but it was a human plan. And that made all the difference. The countdown to war had begun. 48 hours remained until the alien deadline. Admiral Morrison had not slept since the ultimatum arrived. She paced around the command center while her staff worked at their stations. Coffee cups and food containers were scattered everywhere. Everyone looked tired, but no one was willing to rest. "Show me the simulation again," Morrison said to Commander Turner. The main screen displayed a computer model of the coming battle. Blue dots represented human ships. Red dots showed the alien fleet. Every time they ran the simulation, the result was the same. The human fleet was destroyed within hours, sometimes within minutes. "The computer assumes we'll fight them head-on," Turner said. "Ship against ship, following standard battle tactics. That's how every space battle in history has been fought. But what if we don't fight that way?" Morrison asked. Lieutenant Commander Rick Davis looked up from his workstation. Davis was different from the other officers. He had served in special operations before joining the Space Force. He understood unconventional warfare. "Admiral," Davis said, "I've been thinking about guerrilla tactics. Small forces defeating larger ones through surprise and confusion. It worked on Earth for centuries." "Space is different than ground combat," Turner pointed out. "Is it?" Davis asked. "The principles are the same. Hit fast, hit hard, then disappear before the enemy can respond. Don't let them use their superior numbers and firepower." Morrison walked over to Davis's station. His screen showed historical battles where smaller forces had defeated larger ones. The American Revolution, the Vietnam War, Afghanistan. In each case, the smaller force had won by refusing to fight conventional battles. "The aliens expect us to meet them in open space," Davis continued. "They expect us to form battle lines and exchange fire like ships of the line in the old sailing days. What if we scattered our ships across the entire solar system instead?" Dr. Amy Chun entered the command center. She was head of the Defense Research Division and had been working non-stop since the alien message arrived. Her team had been studying every piece of information they had about alien technology. "Admiral," Chun said, "I think I know why the aliens are so confident. Their ships are designed to fight the kind of war they expect. Energy shields that stop laser weapons. Hull armor that repairs kinetic damage. Battle computers that predict enemy movements." "So how do we beat them?" Morrison asked. "We don't try to beat their technology," Sean replied. "We make their technology work against them. Their shields are designed to stop directed energy weapons. But what about ramming attacks? Their armor repairs damage. But what if we cause damage from the inside? Their computers predict logical military tactics. But what if our tactics aren't logical?" Morrison felt a spark of hope for the first time since the crisis began. "Keep talking." "The aliens think in terms of efficiency and logic," Chun explained. "They build weapons for specific purposes. They follow established battle doctrines. But humans are different. We improvise. We adapt. We use things in ways they were never intended to be used." Captain Steve Johnson had been listening to the conversation. He commanded the destroyer En's Defiant, one of the newer ships in the human fleet. His vessel was fast and maneuverable, but it was still no match for an alien heavy cruiser. "I volunteer my ship for whatever crazy plan you're developing," Johnson said. Morrison looked at him. "It might be a suicide mission." "Everything we do from now on might be a suicide mission," Johnson replied. "At least this way we might take some of them with us." Johnson's crew was already preparing for unconventional warfare. His navigation officer, Emma Walsh, was studying asteroid belt charts. His weapons specialist, Tony Clark, was experimenting with ways to overload their ship's systems for maximum destructive effect. "If we're going to ram alien ships, we need to survive the impact," Walsh said. "The Defiant has escape pods. We could evacuate the crew at the last second and let the ship continue on automatic pilot. The aliens won't expect that, Clark added. Their battle computers probably assume that any ship heading straight for them is either damaged or malfunctioning. They might not even shoot at us. On Earth, President Brooks was meeting with her advisors. The plan that Admiral Morrison had proposed was unlike anything in military history. It went against every rule of space warfare. But conventional warfare would mean certain defeat. Madam President, said the Secretary of Defense, what Admiral Morrison is suggesting is complete chaos. There's no coordination, no overall strategy. How can we win a battle with no plan? Maybe that's exactly how we win, Brooks replied. The aliens are expecting us to have a plan. They're expecting us to be logical and predictable. What if we're not? She looked at the reports from Morrison's team. Human ships would attack in small groups or alone. They would use civilian vessels as weapons. They would target supply ships instead of warships. They would retreat when they should advance, and advance when they should retreat. It sounds insane, the Secretary said. Good, Brooks replied. If it sounds insane to us, imagine how it will look to aliens who think they understand warfare. Meanwhile, engineer Lisa Park was working on something the military planners had not expected. She was turning civilian ships into weapons. Cargo vessels were being loaded with mining explosives. Passenger ships were being fitted with ramming shields. Even medical ships were being modified for combat. This goes against every rule of civilized warfare, her assistant protested. The aliens didn't seem too concerned about civilized warfare. When they threatened to wipe out our colonies, Park replied. She was developing what they called the Trojan Horse Protocol. Human cargo ships would appear to be fleeing the battle, running away in panic. But hidden inside their cargo holds were weapon platforms that could be deployed behind enemy lines. The weapons were not sophisticated. They were built for mining, equipment, construction tools, and industrial explosives. But they were designed to attack targets the aliens would not defend: supply ships, communication relays, repair facilities. The aliens will be focused on our warships, Park explained. They won't pay attention to fleeing cargo vessels until it's too late. On Mars, Colonel Martinez was preparing his own unconventional tactics. Instead of trying to hold territory, his Marines would use the planet's underground tunnel system to launch hit-and-run attacks. We're not going to fight them like they expect, Martinez told his sergeants. We're not going to hold ground or protect installations. We're going to be ghosts. We hit them and disappear. We make them afraid to send small patrols. We make them commit large forces to hunt us down. The Mars tunnels were perfect for this kind of warfare. They connected every major settlement and stretched for thousands of kilometers underground. The Marines could attack alien landing parties, then vanish into the tunnels before reinforcements arrived. What about civilians? Asked one sergeant. The civilians are our best advantage, Martinez replied. The aliens expect to find military targets and civilian targets. They don't expect to find civilians who fight back or civilians who provide intelligence about alien movements. Back on the command station, Admiral Morrison was putting the final touches on what they now called Protocol Chaos. It was not really a battle plan. It was more like organized madness. Human ships would not form battle lines. Instead, they would, spread out across the solar system. Each ship or small group would operate independently. Some would attack alien warships. Others would target support vessels. Some would appear to surrender, then attack when the aliens lowered their guard. The key is unpredictability, Morrison explained to her officers. The aliens think they can predict our moves because they think we'll follow military logic. But we're not going to be logical. We're going to be human. Dr. Chun had made another important discovery. The alien battle computers were incredibly sophisticated, but they had one weakness. They could not process truly random data. When faced with completely unpredictable behavior, they began making errors. It's like asking a computer to divide by zero, Sean explained. The system doesn't know how to handle it. The more chaotic our actions, the more problems their computers will have. Lieutenant Commander Davis had been studying the alien fleet positions. They were arranged in perfect geometric patterns. Every ship knew exactly where every other ship was supposed to be. It was efficient and logical. That formation is their strength and their weakness, Davis said. They can coordinate their attacks perfectly, but they can't adapt quickly to unexpected changes. Captain Johnson was ready to test this theory. His ship was loaded with nuclear charges and evacuated, except for a skeleton crew. They would approach an alien vessel broadcasting surrender messages, then ram it when the aliens lowered their shields to accept the surrender. Remember, Johnson told his crew, we evacuate to the escape pods at the last second. The ship continues on automatic pilot. With luck, we'll survive to do it again. And if we don't survive? Asked Emma Walsh. Then we make sure the aliens remember us, Johnson replied. As the deadline approached, War Prime Kethver was reviewing his battle plans one final time. His computers showed the positions of all human ships. They appeared to be forming some kind of defensive formation, though it was not like any formation in his tactical database. The humans are moving their ships in random patterns, reported one of his officers. The 72-hour deadline had passed. War Prime Kethver stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display. The human fleet was scattered across the solar system in what appeared to be complete disorder. Some ships were hiding behind asteroids. Others were moving in seemingly random directions. A few appeared to be fleeing toward the outer planets. Begin the attack, Kethver ordered. Target their largest warships first. Show them the price of defiance. The alien fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their ships were beautiful and deadly, with smooth hulls that gleamed in the sunlight. Energy weapons charged full power. Shields activated to maximum strength. Everything proceeded according to plan. Admiral Morrison watched from her command station as the battle began. Operation Wildcard is now active, she announced. All ships execute Protocol Chaos. Remember, we don't follow the rules. We make our own. Captain Johnson was already moving toward his target. The destroyer Uns Defiant approached a large alien cruiser, broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Captain Johnson of the Earth Defense Force. We wish to discuss surrender. Terms. The alien cruiser slowed down. Its shields powered down to minimum strength, following standard procedures for accepting an enemy surrender. The alien commander probably thought this would be easy. Johnson turned to his crew. Evacuation pods ready? Ready, sir, replied Emma Walsh from the navigation station. Nuclear charges armed and ready, added Tony Clark from weapons. Remember, we jump to the pods when I give the signal, Johnson said. The ship's computer will handle the rest. The Defiant continued toward the alien cruiser. To the aliens, it looked like a defeated human ship coming to surrender. The cruiser's captain was probably already planning how to accept the human surrender with proper ceremony. At the last moment, Johnson shouted, "Evacuate now!" The crew ran to the escape pods while the ship's computer took control. The destroyer's engines went to full power, aimed directly at the alien cruiser's command section. The alien captain realized too late what was happening. He tried to raise shields and turn away, but the Defiant was too close and moving too fast. The destroyer, loaded with nuclear explosives, crashed into the alien ship's hull. The explosion was massive. The cruiser's regenerative armor tried to repair the damage, but there was too much of it. The nuclear charges had detonated inside the ship, destroying critical systems from within. The alien vessel broke apart, debris floating in all directions. Johnson and his crew watched from their escape pods as their ship took the first alien casualty of the war. "Well," Johnson said over the radio, "I guess ramming attacks work after all." Meanwhile, engineer Lisa Park was implementing her Trojan horse protocol. Several cargo ships that appeared to be fleeing the battle were actually moving into position behind the alien fleet. They looked like panicked civilians trying to escape, but they carried deadly surprises. One cargo ship, the merchant vessel Golden Dream, drifted past an alien supply convoy. The aliens ignored it, focusing on the human. Warships ahead. Inside the cargo hold, automated systems activated. Hidden weapon platforms deployed, targeting the alien supply ships with mining charges and industrial explosives. The weapons were crude compared to military hardware, but they were effective. The alien supply ships were not heavily armored. They were designed to carry fuel and spare parts, not to fight battles. When the improvised weapons hit them, they exploded in brilliant fireballs. The alien fleet suddenly found itself cut off from its supply line. Fuel reserves were limited. Spare parts were gone. Ships that suffered damage would have to make repairs with whatever materials they had on board. On Mars, Colonel Martinez was fighting his own kind of battle. Alien landing craft had set down near the main colony, disgorging hundreds of soldiers in powered armor. They expected to find human forces defending the settlements in prepared positions. Instead, they found empty buildings and deserted streets. The Marines had vanished into the underground tunnel system, taking the civilian population with them. The aliens controlled the surface, but they controlled nothing important. "Squad leaders report," Martinez said into his radio from deep underground. "Squad 1 in position near landing zone Alpha," came the first reply. "Squad 2 covering tunnel." "Junction 7, reported another voice. "Squad 3 has eyes on the alien command post," said a third. Martinez smiled. The aliens thought they had won because they held the surface installations. They did not understand that the real Mars colony was underground, in the tunnels that connected everything important. "All squads begin harassment operations," Martinez ordered. "Hit them hard, then disappear. Make them afraid to move in small groups." The Marine attacks began immediately. A squad would emerge from a tunnel entrance, fire rockets at alien patrols, then vanish back underground before the aliens could respond. Another squad would plant explosives near alien equipment, then detonate them from a safe distance. The aliens tried to follow the Marines into the tunnels, but the underground maze was confusing and dangerous. The Marines knew every passage and hiding place. The aliens stumbled around in the dark, never sure when the next attack would come. Back in space, the battle was becoming more chaotic by the minute. Lieutenant Commander Davis was leading a group of small ships in hit-and-run attacks on the DS-TACs, on the alien fleet's flanks. They would appear suddenly, fire everything they had, then scatter before the aliens could target them effectively. "Remember," Davis told his pilots, "we're not trying to destroy their big ships. We're trying to confuse them. Make them waste time and energy chasing us instead of attacking our main targets." The alien battle computers were having serious problems. They were designed to track enemy formations and predict coordinated attacks. But the human ships were not forming formations or coordinating attacks. Each group seemed to be operating independently, following no apparent strategy. War Prime Kethfor watched the tactical display with growing frustration. The battle was not proceeding according to plan. His forces were winning individual engagements, but the overall situation was becoming unclear. "Status report," he demanded. "We have destroyed 12 human warships," reported his tactical officer. "But we have lost 8 supply vessels and 3 cruisers. The human ships are not behaving according to standard military doctrine." "What do you mean?" Kethfor asked. "They are attacking supply convoys instead of fighting our battle fleet. They are using ramming attacks instead of energy weapons. Some of their ships broadcast surrender messages while simultaneously preparing to attack. Kethver had conquered many worlds, but he had never faced anything like this. Every other species fought according to logical principles. They protected important targets. They used their best weapons against enemy warships. They followed established tactical procedures. The humans were doing none of these things. They seemed to be making up their tactics as they went along. Worse, their apparent randomness was actually working. Dr. Chun was monitoring the battle from her research station. Her instruments showed that the alien battle computers were making more and more errors as they tried to process human actions that made no logical sense. "Admiral," she reported to Morrison, "the alien tactical systems are overloading. There. Computers can't handle truly random behavior. The more chaotic our attacks become, the less effective their responses are." Morrison nodded. "Tell all ship commanders to increase the chaos. Do whatever the aliens don't expect. If it seems crazy, do it anyway." The message went out to the scattered human fleet. Ships began taking even more extreme actions. A medical vessel loaded with wounded soldiers suddenly accelerated toward an alien battleship, broadcasting children's songs on all frequencies. The confused aliens lowered their weapons, unsure whether the ship was attacking or malfunctioning. At the last second, the medical ship veered away, but not before launching a spread of mining charges that damaged the battleship's sensor array. The alien captain was left wondering what had just happened. Captain Johnson, now commanding a damaged frigate he had commandeered from a rescue operation, was preparing for another unconventional attack. His new ship was barely spaceworthy, held together with emergency repairs and spare parts. "Sir," said Emma Walsh, who had joined his new crew, "the aliens probably think we're a derelict drifting in space." "Perfect," Johnson replied. "Let them think that right up until we surprise them." The frigate drifted toward an alien formation, looking like a damaged ship that had lost power. The aliens ignored it, focusing on more obvious threats. But hidden inside the seemingly dead ship, Johnson's crew was preparing a nasty surprise. They were close enough. The frigate suddenly came to life. Its weapons, jury-rigged from salvaged parts, opened fire at point-blank range. The aliens were caught completely off guard. By the time they responded, the frigate had already inflicted serious damage and was accelerating away. The alien fleet was starting to fall apart. Not because they were losing ships faster than humans, but because their entire battle plan was based on fighting a predictable enemy. The humans were not predictable. They were not even trying to be logical. War Prime Kethver realized that his greatest advantage, the battle computers that could predict enemy actions with near-perfect accuracy, had become useless. War Prime Kethver had not slept in 36 hours. His tactical officers kept bringing him reports that made no sense. Human ships were attacking in ways that violated every principle of space warfare. His battle computers had given up trying to predict enemy movements and were now simply marking human vessels as unpredictable threats. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we are receiving strange transmissions from human vessels. They appear to be broadcasting music, cooking shows, and children's stories on our command frequencies." Kethver rubbed his temples. First, the humans had attacked with ramming ships and hidden weapons. Then they had used civilian vessels as military targets. Now they were jamming military communications with entertainment programs. "Block the transmissions," he ordered. "We have tried, sir, but they are using multiple frequencies and changing them constantly. Our systems cannot filter them. All out." What Kethver did not know was that Dr. Chun had discovered something important about alien neural systems. The seemingly random broadcasts contained hidden patterns that interfered with Cepharian brain functions. The aliens listening to the Transmissions were becoming confused and paranoid without understanding why. Admiral? Morrison was watching the battle unfold from her command station. The tactical display showed chaos across the entire solar system. Human ships were everywhere, attacking targets that seemed to be chosen at random. But there was a method to the madness. Status report, she requested. Commander Turner looked up from his station. We have lost 23 ships, but the aliens have lost 41. More importantly, their formation is breaking down. They are no longer fighting as a coordinated fleet. This was exactly what Morrison had hoped for. The alien advantage came from their ability to work together as a single massive force. By breaking up their formation and forcing them to fight dozens of separate small battles, the humans had neutralized that advantage. Lieutenant Commander Davis was leading what they now called the Ghost Fleet. These were ships that had been damaged in battle, but were still capable of fighting. They looked like wreckage floating in space, but they were actually mobile weapon platforms waiting for the right moment to strike. Davis's own ship, a battered cruiser called the Relentless, had lost its main engines and most of its hull plating. To alien sensors, it looked like a derelict that posed no threat. But hidden inside the damaged hull were enough weapons to cripple an alien battleship. Ghost 1 to all ghost ships, Davis transmitted on a coded frequency. Alien supply convoy approaching Sector 7. Prepare to activate on my signal. 6 ships that looked like floating scrap metal suddenly came to life. Their weapons powered up, and they opened fire on the alien convoy from point-blank range. The aliens had been completely focused on the main battle and had not bothered to scan the debris field for hidden threats. The convoy was destroyed before it could send a distress signal. More importantly, it had been carrying replacement parts for alien battle computers. The loss of these supplies meant that damaged alien systems could not be fully repaired. Captain Johnson was now commanding his 3rd ship of the battle. His previous vessels had been destroyed in ramming attacks, but each time he and most of his crew had managed to escape in life pods. They were picked up by other human ships and immediately given new assignments. His current ship was a converted cargo hauler called the Lucky Strike. It was not designed for combat, but Johnson's crew had turned it into a formidable weapon. The cargo hold was filled with mining explosives. The hull was reinforced with salvage armor plating. Most importantly, it looked like exactly what it was: a desperate improvisation that should not be able to threaten anyone. Captain, reported Emma Walsh from the navigation station, alien heavy cruiser dead ahead. It appears to be damaged and moving slowly. Johnson studied the tactical display. The alien ship was indeed damaged, probably from an earlier encounter with human forces. Its shields were at half power, and it was leaking atmosphere from several hull breaches. Perfect, Johnson said. They will think we are trying to avoid them. Plot a course that makes us look like we are running scared. The Lucky Strike changed direction, appearing to flee from the alien cruiser. The alien captain, seeing what looked like a frightened cargo ship, decided to pursue. It would be an easy kill, a chance to destroy a human vessel without risk. But as the cruiser moved closer, Johnson's crew was preparing their surprise. The cargo hold doors opened, revealing not mining equipment, but a spread of nuclear-tipped missiles built from spare parts and desperation. Fire all missiles, Johnson ordered. Then get us out of here. The improvised weapons streaked toward the alien cruiser. The alien captain tried to raise shields and return fire, but his damaged systems were too slow. The missiles struck the cruiser's hull and detonated in a series of brilliant explosions. The alien ship did not break apart immediately, but it was clearly finished. Its engines went dark. Its weapons stopped firing. Another enemy vessel had fallen to human ingenuity. On Mars, Colonel Martinez was expanding his guerrilla campaign. The aliens controlled the surface installations, but the underground tunnels belonged to the humans. More importantly, the tunnels connected to the planet's main computer networks. "Sir," reported one of his technical specialists, "we have accessed the alien communication array they set up in the main colony. We can monitor their transmissions and even send false messages." Martinez smiled. This was better than he had hoped. "What kind of false messages can we send?" "Anything we want, sir. We can make their units think they are receiving orders from their commanders. We can create fake intelligence reports. We can even make them think they are under attack when they are not." The psychological warfare campaign began immediately. Alien patrols started receiving contradictory orders. Some were told to advance, while others were ordered to retreat. Intelligence reports claimed that human reinforcements were arriving when no such reinforcements existed. The aliens on Mars began to doubt everything they heard. They could not trust their communications. They could not rely on their intelligence. They could not even be certain that orders from their commanders were real. Dr. Chun was monitoring the effects of her broadcast weapon from her research station. The alien fleet was showing signs of serious coordination problems. Ships were firing on each other by mistake. Battle formations were falling apart as individual vessels misunderstood their orders. "Admiral," she reported to Morrison, "the alien command structure is breaking down. Their neural interference patterns suggest widespread confusion and paranoia among their crews." Morrison nodded. The plan was working better than anyone had expected. By attacking the aliens' ability to think clearly rather than their ships directly, the humans were winning a war they should have lost. But War Prime Kethfer was not ready to give up. He decided to commit his reserve forces to a direct assault on Earth's moon. If he could capture the human command center, he could end this chaotic battle and restore proper military order. "All reserve units, advance on the lunar installation," he ordered. "We will show these humans the price of defying the Confederation." Admiral Morrison watched the massive alien force approaching the moon. 200 alien ships, including some of their largest battleships, were moving in perfect formation toward the lunar base. It looked like the humans were finally going to face the kind of conventional battle they could not win. But Morrison was ready for this attack. The moon had been prepared as a giant trap, General Murphy's. Space Marines had spent weeks preparing the lunar surface for battle. The moon's low gravity and the maze of mining tunnels beneath its surface created perfect conditions for the kind of three-dimensional warfare that aliens were not equipped to handle. "All lunar defense units, prepare for Operation Mousetrap," Morrison announced. "The aliens want a conventional battle. Let's give them something they will never forget." The alien fleet entered lunar orbit and began landing troops on the surface. Thousands of alien soldiers in powered armor descended toward what appeared to be a poorly defended human installation. Their sensors showed minimal human forces and weak defensive positions. What the sensors did not show was that the entire lunar surface was honeycombed with tunnels, bunkers, and hidden weapon emplacements. The humans had turned the moon into a three-dimensional battlefield where up and down meant nothing and enemies could appear from any direction. The first alien units to land found themselves under attack from below, above, and all sides at once. Human Marines used the low gravity to leap impossible distances. They fired rocket-propelled grenades that curved around obstacles in the weak gravitational field. They disappeared into tunnel entrances that seemed to be everywhere. "Sir," reported an alien ground commander to Kethvar, "we are taking heavy casualties. The humans are using the tunnel system to attack us from unexpected directions. Our armor is not designed for this kind of combat." Kethvar watched the tactical display with growing anger. Once again, the humans were not fighting the battle he expected. Instead of defending fixed positions, they were using the entire moon as a weapon against his forces. "Captain Johnson," now commanding a squadron of damaged but functional ships, was preparing to attack the alien fleet from behind. His vessels looked like refugees fleeing the battle. War Prime Kethfer stood alone in his private quarters, staring at the tactical display that showed the disaster unfolding around him. Half of his fleet was scattered across the solar system, chasing human ships that appeared and disappeared, like ghosts. His ground forces on the moon were trapped in tunnels, fighting an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. This was not how wars were supposed to be fought. In all his years of military service, Kethvar had never encountered anything like the human approach to combat. They broke every rule, ignored every tradition, and somehow made it work. War Prime, his communications officer, called from the bridge. "We are receiving another transmission from the human command. More of their ridiculous entertainment programs?" Kethvar asked. "No, sir. This appears to be a direct message from their Admiral Morrison." Kethvar returned to the bridge. On the main screen, the human admiral appeared. She looked tired but determined. Behind her, Kethvar could see the chaos of a military command center in the middle of a battle. "War Prime Kethvar," Morrison said. "I am Admiral Kate Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. I want to give you one final chance to end this battle before we implement Protocol Pandemonium." "What is Protocol Pandemonium?" Kethvar demanded. Morrison smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "You are about to find out." The transmission ended. Kethvar felt a chill of fear, something he had not experienced in decades of warfare. The humans had already shown they could fight in ways that made no sense. What could be worse than what they had already done? Admiral Morrison turned to her staff. "Begin Protocol Pandemonium. All ships, all units, complete chaos authorization is now in effect. There are no rules anymore. Do whatever it takes to win." The message went out to every human vessel in the solar system. Captain Johnson received it aboard his latest ship, a converted passenger liner called the Star Runner. His crew had been preparing for this moment. "You heard the Admiral," Johnson told his crew. "No more rules, no more logic. We fight like humans, and humans never give up." Across the solar system, human ships began implementing tactics that defied all military logic. Medical ships loaded with wounded soldiers accelerated toward alien battleships while broadcasting surrender messages and children's songs simultaneously. The aliens, completely confused by the mixed signals, did not know whether to accept the surrender or prepare for attack at the last second. The medical ships would veer away, but not before launching spreads of mining charges that damaged alien sensor arrays and communication systems. The wounded soldiers inside were actually volunteers, willing to risk their lives to confuse the enemy. Dr. Chun was putting the finishing touches on her masterpiece, something she called a logic bomb. It was a mathematical paradox designed specifically to overload alien computer systems. The concept was simple but devastating. Ask the alien artificial intelligence to solve a problem that had no solution. "Admiral," Chen reported, "the logic bomb is ready for transmission. Once we send this to their fleet's central computer, it should cascade through their entire network. What exactly will it do?" Morrison asked. "It will ask their computer to calculate the exact probability of a truly random event," Chen explained. "Since true randomness cannot be calculated, the computer will keep trying to solve the problem forever. Every system connected to that computer will also try to solve it. Eventually, the entire network will crash." Morrison nodded. "Do it." The logic bomb was transmitted directly to the alien flagship. The Zephyrian computers, designed to be the most advanced artificial intelligence in the galaxy, received the mathematical paradox and began trying to solve it. The problem spread through the network like a virus, causing system failures throughout the alien fleet. On the moon, Colonel Martinez was leading what he called the Tunnel Rats in their final assault on the alien command center. His Marines had been fighting in the underground maze for days, appearing and disappearing like spirits. The aliens no longer trusted their own sensors and communications. "All units," Martinez whispered into his radio. "The aliens have their command post in the old mining station. We hit them from 6 different directions at once. Remember, we are not trying to hold ground. We are trying to create maximum chaos." The Marines emerged from tunnel entrances all around the alien command post. They used captured alien equipment in ways that the original designers never intended. Medical scanners became jamming devices. Food processors were turned into improvised, explosive devices. Environmental control systems became weapons that filled alien positions with smoke and confusion. The aliens tried to respond, but their training had not prepared them for this kind of warfare. They were used to fighting enemies who followed predictable patterns. The Marines attacked from unexpected directions, used improvised weapons, and disappeared before the aliens could counterattack. Captain Johnson was preparing for the most dangerous mission of his career. Intelligence reports showed that the alien flagship contained the central computer that controlled their entire fleet. If he could destroy that computer, the remaining alien ships would lose their coordination completely. "Emma," Johnson said to his navigation officer, "plot a course straight for their flagship. Maximum speed, no evasive maneuvers." "Sir," Emma Walsh replied, "that's suicide. Their flagship has enough firepower to destroy a small moon." "Maybe," Johnson said, "but they are not expecting a direct attack. Their computers predict that we will try to be clever and sneaky, so we will do the exact opposite. We will be obvious and direct." The Star Runner accelerated toward the alien flagship, broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Captain Johnson of the Earth Defense Force. We are coming for you, Kethver. We are going to end this war the human way." War Prime Kethver watched the human ship approaching his flagship. It was clearly a suicide attack, but something about it bothered him. The humans had been full of surprises throughout this battle. What if this was another trick? "All weapons, target that ship," he ordered. "Sir," reported his weapons officer, "our targeting computers are malfunctioning. The logic bomb has infected our weapon systems. We cannot achieve target lock." Kethver felt panic rising in his chest. His advanced weapons could not hit a single human ship flying directly toward him. The most sophisticated military technology in the galaxy had been defeated by a mathematical puzzle. Johnson's ship was not actually planning to ram the flagship. At the last moment, the Star Runner released a cloud of small objects that looked like debris, but were actually packed with explosives and jamming equipment. The flagship's defenses, trying to stop what they thought was a ramming attack, ignored the smaller objects. The improvised weapons penetrated the flagship's hull and exploded throughout the ship's computer core. The Central Artificial Intelligence that had been struggling with Chun's logic bomb finally suffered complete system failure. The crash spread through the entire alien fleet network, leaving hundreds of ships without tactical coordination. On Mars, the alien ground forces received contradictory orders as their communication systems failed. Some units were told to advance, while others were ordered to retreat. Many received no orders at all. The Marines took advantage of the confusion to launch attacks from all directions at once. Colonel Martinez led a final assault on the alien command center. His Marines burst through tunnel entrances that the aliens had not even known existed. The alien commanders, cut off from their fleet and surrounded by enemies they could not predict, finally realized that they could not win this battle. Surrender. Martinez called out in the alien language, which he had learned from captured prisoners. "Your fleet is defeated. Your computers are destroyed. You have no hope of victory." The alien commander looked around at his trapped forces. His soldiers were demoralized and confused. Their advanced equipment had been turned against them or rendered useless by human ingenuity. For the first time in Zephyrian military history, an alien force surrendered to a supposedly inferior enemy. War Prime Keth IV received this surrender message from Mars as his flagship drifted powerless in space. His tactical displays were dark. His weapons were offline. His communication systems were broadcasting human entertainment programs that his crew could not turn off. Admiral Morrison, he transmitted on an emergency frequency. I request terms for the surrender of my fleet. Morrison appeared on his screen, looking satisfied but not triumphant. The terms are simple, War Prime. Your fleet leaves our solar system immediately. You tell the Zephyrian Confederation that humanity is not to be threatened or attacked. And you spread the word throughout the galaxy that humans fight by their own rules. But how? Kethver asked. How did you defeat us? Our technology is superior. Our tactics are proven. Our weapons are more advanced. Morrison smiled. That was your mistake, War Prime. You assumed that superior technology meant inevitable victory. You thought that following proven tactics guaranteed success. You believed that there was only one way to fight a war. She leaned forward, looking directly at Kethvar through the screen. But humans do not fight the way you expect. We do not. Follow your rules. We adapt. We improvise. We turn our weaknesses into strengths, and your strengths into weaknesses. We fight with chaos, creativity, and sheer stubborn refusal to give up. Kethver understood now, asterisk.